In October, at least 10 residents of the Brooklyn neighborhood, Little Pakistan, were appointed to the 44th Assembly District's County Committee, a body of neighborhood representatives across the borough who vote on the party's rules and its nominees for special elections. Their appointments were pushed through by Brooklyn's Democratic Party organization without the appointees' knowledge.
The new slate of ghost appointees was pushed through at an assembly meeting in October in an effort to prevent the nomination of those who were viewed as at odds with Democratic Party leadership. Not only were these residents appointed without their knowledge, but their signatures were forged on proxy forms that transferred their voting powers over to people who align with the party establishment. A spokesperson for the Brooklyn Democratic Party declined to comment on these ghost members to the city, who first broke the story. Joining us now to discuss is City Hall reporter for the city, Yoav Gonen. Welcome, Yoav.
How you doing? Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. So tell us more about this. How was this scheme pulled off? The forging of signatures, et cetera. How were these people even selected? Are they even participants in the party at all?
We spoke to a number who said they really didn't know much about the Brooklyn Democratic Party. Most of them were, as far as we knew, registered Democrats. So they said, but they said their involvement with politics was essentially voting in elections. So most of the people we spoke to who were appointed without their knowledge really had no idea how they ended up on this list. And a number of them even said that they were aware of people who were appointed who had moved out of the state months ago, as far back as June.
So the goal here seems to be getting around people who might not align with what the Democratic Party establishment is supporting. Are there specific issues that are contentious and that the establishment has been struggling to get consensus with that would have motivated them to take this kind of action? What's the state of play looking like in the Brooklyn Democratic Party right now?
Well, there's actually quite a range of issues, and it starts with how to kind of how to run the party, how transparent to be. How much involvement to include. That technically there's more than 4,000 officials in the party, and the opposition argues that they want a greater role. They don't want decisions about what the party is going to do to come from the top. They want a more say for these county committee members, they're called. But it also comes to who the party plays a role in nominating officials for state office, and they also play a role in nominating people for judgeships. And a lot of times those are in dispute between more moderates and progressives. So it's a host of issues they're arguing about, and clearly, the people in power are willing to go to great lengths to keep that power.
I mean, it's a little confusing because on one hand, it would seem to be a good thing to have people from communities that aren't usually represented across the district, across the borough, on these kinds of committees. It's really the issue is the fact of them not being aware and able to actually show up and vote in their own interest or their community's interest, and instead having their votes appropriated. Has there been any feedback at all from the Democratic Party about that aspect of it, which seems a lot more pernicious?
Right, and I think they have pushed back on this idea a little bit previously, and I think there's actually two things going on here. I really do think there is a legitimate attempt by the Pakistani American community to get more involved in politics. They realize that although these are low-level roles in the party, that's your first foothold into having a greater say in what happens. So I think there is a legitimate movement happening there, but it appears that someone who was aligned with party leadership, and at this point we don't know exactly who it is yet, somebody sought to capitalize on that movement and basically sneak at least 10 names in there that didn't belong because they weren't informed. So it does seem like they're kind of capitalizing, underhandedly on a legitimate movement.
Was this so? What's going to happen now? Are the people responsible going to face is criminal issues, et cetera?
The it seems to me the only area where it might verge into criminality is when signatures are forged. In these 10 cases, we actually don't know of any forgery as of yet. We reported, me and my colleague George Joseph, earlier this year, of at least a handful of forgeries kind of involved in the same thing, the selection of these low-level party officials. But the Brooklyn District Attorney's Office has said they're taking a look at some of these issues. We don't know that it's a full-blown investigation as of yet, but it has caught the attention of the Brooklyn DA.
And in your story, at least one person, a former executive director of the Brooklyn Democratic Party, says that everyone, this has been going on for decades. This isn't some new development. So can you tell me a little bit about how you came to break this story, how you came to be aware of it?
We've been paying close attention to the party this year. There were a number of incidents in recent years that kind of caught our attention, and it didn't seem like the party was getting enough persistent attention from reporters, and they were kind of doing underhanded tactics out in the open because nobody was paying close attention. So we've developed some sources, in large part people who are opposed to what the party is doing and the ways that they're maintaining power. And in this case, we basically got a tip that something strange was going on. We got a list of everyone who was appointed, and we went to the neighborhood where they all lived, and we knocked on doors, and that's how we found people.
Fascinating story, and we appreciate you coming here to talk about all of your coverage of it.
Thanks for having me.
We'll have more Rising for you right after this.